Making yourself a priority is necessary. It is not selfish. By taking care of yourself, you have so much more to offer the world than when your cup is empty. Today's question is, are you taking care of yourself above others? Today's question is, are you taking care of yourself above others? It is either a yes or a no. Hi, this is Clarity Coach Lucy, and this January, I invite you to love yourself. We are talking about self-love, and I'm taking you through 4 aspects of self-love, how you can cultivate self-love in your life. Maybe you've never thought about it. If you missed it or missed them, we've already done 2 episodes. The first episode was inner self-love, and the second one was loving your authentic self. And these are all on my YouTube channel, LMC Consultancy. Get on there, subscribe, like, share, and hit that notification button so that you can keep on getting these notifications when a new YouTube video is actually posted. So our first episode on inner self-love, we had such profound takeaways. The first one was about connecting with your inner self. Here we talked about things that you needed to do on the inside so that the outside took care of itself. You needed to connect with it. Is it your thoughts? Is it what you're eating? Is it just your resting self? You want to fall in love with your person. Just like in romantic movies, you meet someone, you get to know them, and then you fall in love with them. Yes, there is love at first sight. And most probably that love at first sight is that person who is so confident and coming from a place of love from within. They love themselves first. And then you can see that. That is what manifests in their physical being. The other takeaway was that you need to embrace yourself. You are unique and you do not need to fit in at all. There is no other person who is like you. So stand out. Be amazing, be outstanding. The second episode was about loving your authentic self. Now, this was powerful because in your authentic self, we touched on areas that were not so comfortable to talk about, but we touched on them. Knowing your worth and manifesting it, knowing who you are. Now, when you value something, you know all the good and the bad stuff about it. So we are encouraging you to know the good and the bad stuff, and that is understanding your shadow, understanding that dark side. And I encouraged you to write down at least 1. Yes, I asked you to write 3 good and 3 bad, but for the sake of the time that we had, I wanted you to write 1. And there were a few questions that I needed you to go through, which at the end of those 3 questions, you were naming it and you were taming it. You were naming your shadow and you were taming it. You were able to understand how your body reacts, how your body starts to move, your language, how your thoughts start to shift, what the meanings happen for you, what the meanings that happen for you at this point when you start to feel this thing of the shadow self. And we used an example of jealousy. What do you feel when jealousy is coming on? For you, is it your heart racing? Is it some thin skin of sweat over your skin? Is it that you don't look at people in the eye? This way, you should be able to identify what your physical nature does when this shadow self begins to rear its head. And it was important that we know our shadow self, we don't push it or sweep it under the rug, because the day that it rears its ugly head, it will be ugly. And the other powerful takeaway was about create and connect with your inner circle. So as we are looking at creating and connecting with your inner circle, it's important to know that you are in control of who you want to put in that inner circle. It's your game plan. It's nobody else's game plan. Remember that we are social beings. We're not born to be alone. So have a group, even if it's 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 10 may be too many, so that you can have meaningful experiences. I'm just going to see here whether we are indeed live. I'm just checking here. And as I check, today's question is very simple. We are asking, you taking care of yourself above others? And the answer is yes or no. You need to be authentic with yourself and answer that question honestly. Okay. So are we live? Yes, we are live. It's episode 3 of January Self-Love. We're talking about priority of self. Today, that's what we are talking about. And you've heard what the question is. Are you taking care of self above others? Because you need to start with self. And then our last episode will be number 1, self-fan, and more of that next episode. You better tune in. Just watch out for my Facebook announcements. Watch out for my Instagram announcements. Just watch out for my page, my website page, on areas where I will be talking about Tuesday Talks at 3, our takeaways, and allowing you to comment. Right now, there's actually a discussion open on Facebook, and I want you to go in there and just contribute. And as you're contributing, remember here, we are answering the question, are you taking care of self above others? And I'd love to see yeses and nos just streaming here on the thread. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the bottom rung is about physiological needs. It's about physiological needs. These are suggested as always coming first. So it's either food, it's shelter, it's security, it's clothing, it's sleep, and so on. In episode 1, we said that taking care of your inside will take care of the outside automatically. And we identified one way was eating right. So eating right to take care of your inside just meant so much. It was great just to be able to talk about what eating right can do for you. So borrowing from this theory of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, what is your eating habit? And I just want to take a moment here. What is your eating habit? So first, let's see whether we've got any yeses coming across. All right, we can see Nancy is here. Thank you. Daniel, you're back. Great. Yes. And you're happy to be here. Fantastic. So we want to see the yeses and the nos, Nancy and Daniel, because the question today is, are you taking care of self above others? You can only be honest to self. Hello, Jane. Karibu sana, you're right on time. So we were borrowing from the theory of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where the bottom rung is about our physiological needs. That's what it is about. And we are saying that one of them is food. So I'm asking, what is your eating habit, or what are your eating habits? Because to eat is a necessity, but to eat intelligently is an art. To eat right is an art. We love food. Food does different things for us. So the questions that we want to be looking on are, what are you eating? When are you eating? And why? It sounds like a crazy question, but why are you eating? It is so important that you're intentional about the answers to these 3 questions, because although a healthy you starts from inside, we must challenge the what, the when, and the why, and so much more. These are the 3 questions I'm bringing to the fore right now. So let's just look at the what. What are you eating? And I give you an example. What are you eating? The portion on your plate. When you look at the plate, whatever size the plate is, your portions are very important. You need to be mindful about your portions. So you need to ask yourself, what are my portions? What are my choices? What is it that is going on to my plate? How is this helping me? Is it generational culture? Are you sharing with the generation around you, the younger generation, the things that should be on this plate? What are you eating? There's a lot of connection to illnesses today because we overlooked that eating intelligently. Eating intelligently. And so as we grow older, our bodies begin to change, they age. And we wish that we had eaten more of X, Y, Z, less of, A, B, C. And we wish that we could share this information with others. So whatever age you are, you want to be considerate, and mindful is the word actually I wanted to use. You want to be mindful about what you are eating. what you are ingesting. And therefore, listen to your gut when you eat something. I know you're going to tell me that when you eat junk food, there's this excitement that comes. Yes, it comes. It's a high for a moment because it is that kind of steroid food, so to speak, for want of a better term. Nothing came to mind right now. But then, yes, you get that boost in that moment, and you go up and you just crash. After a while, you just crash. So what are you eating? Be mindful. When are you eating? When are you eating? The timings. Are you eating at all? The timings are important. Our bodies need to get food to replenish what we have already used in energy, to replenish what we've already used in creating new cells, and to replenish what we have already passed on as waste. So our bodies need this food. So when are you eating? What are the timings? Be mindful about your timings. Are you perhaps binging? So you're eating and then you're binging, or you're binging and then once you binge, you're feeling sick. Are you eating only when you're binging? Is that what it is? Are you starving yourself? So you're not eating at all. Are you eating moderately? Is that what you're doing? So that's the what and that's the when. Then there's the why. Why are you eating? Why are you eating? Are you eating because of health, your health? That's what you want. Perhaps you've been to a doctor and you've been asked to eat more of foods that are green or that have vitamins or whatever it is. Is that what you're doing? Are you eating that because you are someone who goes to the gym, you're doing exercises and you want to grow your muscles? Is that what it is? Are you eating because of emotions? You're an emotional eater. So when you're happy, you eat, or when you're sad, you eat. I'd love to hear from you, because to eat is a necessity, but to eat intelligently is an art. So let's see what we have here. Oh, I can see Nancy is saying yes. Yes, so Nancy, you are answering the question. Are you taking care of self above others? Fantastic. It is important to take care of self above others. And Nancy, it will be so good if you know your specific list of exactly what you're doing for self and what it means for you, because this is important. Once you understand what it means for you, nothing, and I tell you absolutely nothing, is going to shake you away from it. In fact, you're going to say to somebody, do not distract me at this moment because I'm doing X, Y, Z. And we're going to be talking about setting boundaries in a little bit. And Nancy, thank you so much for sharing that. So when we look at what we are eating, when we are eating, and why we are eating, it helps us to understand how we are building the inside so that the outside can take care of itself. Remember that once you take care of your inside, the outside will take care of itself. So challenge it. Challenge what's on your plate. Challenge when it is on your plate, and challenge why it's on your plate. Because you might find that your portions need to be huge because you are building muscle. So there is a reason, there's always a reason. And for how much, what kind of time, what period, what length of time are you going to give it? The timings. So they're all intertwined. But if you're finding it hard to do so, if you are finding it hard to do so, to be able to challenge the what, the when, and the why for yourself. And because I keep on saying we are so good at taking care of other people, then imagine that you are other people and you're taking care of other people. It's as simple as that. If you are other people and you're taking care of other people, then what would you recommend when you see that plate before somebody? Would you be mindful? Yes, you would. You'd actually say to that person, perhaps you need to increase on this or decrease on that. Perhaps this is not the time to eat. Your body has not had time to digest. Perhaps at this point, you need to be taking something light because the time of the day. If you can do it for somebody else, then pretend you are somebody else and do it for that somebody else who actually is you. Yeah, sounds weird, yeah? But that is how we are socialized. You may end up finding that this narrative can be changed over time. And as you find it, it is such, how do I put it? It is such a liberating feeling. Because when you allow yourself to change the narrative, it shifts in your mind. your mindset totally shifts, because what we are shifting here is getting you to accept that you are important, that you need to love yourself. And the way you're going to do that is prioritizing yourself. So we are guilty when we choose self over others. I want you to think about 21 days that forms a habit. Write down one thing that you can do to prioritize yourself every day. And when you wake up in the morning, look at it, set your intention for the day. And throughout the day, after day 3, you will start to be aware of the fact that you haven't prioritized yourself, or you have. And in the evening, come and close the chapter. Come and give thanks. Yes, I prioritized myself in this one area or in these 2 areas, and this is how I felt. 21 days later, it's going to be a non-negotiable. A little bit of that when we come almost to the end of our session. Non-negotiable. You know, that one thing has to happen in your life for you to know that you're prioritizing yourself, for you to feel fulfilled, for you to feel liberated. Because we are guilty when we choose ourselves over others. But by changing that narrative, we know we're not being selfish. We know we are building self so that we can come from that place of abundance, making ourselves a priority. It is a necessity. What are you telling yourself? What are we telling ourselves? It's so important, because when we make ourselves a priority, what are those voices that come to us? What are people saying to us? In my coaching sessions, I ask my clients to write their past story. And we talked about this in episode 1 on inner self-love. Now, your past story could be right up to a minute ago, because that's the past. It could be an hour ago, it could be yesterday, it could be last month. You know, it is your past. So you write your past story. I then ask them to check in with the language, because this language is very telling. It's very telling of your state of mind and your perception of things that are happening in your life. Each individual is different. Now, some stories, once we read them, because then the client reads out the story to me. Some stories, when we read them, they read as external sabotage. External sabotage. The world is out to get you. Everybody is conspiring against you. And I can hear that in the language. And there we have a conversation. And we ask our 5 whys. Why do you feel that sabotage? Because of X, Y, Z. Why? Because of X, Y, Z. Because of ABC. Why? Because, and we go down the 5 whys. This is one of the tools of coaching to get to the bottom of it, because the external sabotage, the language, is just a symptom. When we break it down and we go to the bottom of it, we get to the root cause. And for others, their stories read as gratitude. Again, we break it down with 5 whys. Try it at home. When somebody says to you and they say, I don't like taking a walk, why? They will give you the first level of the answer. When they give it to you, ask them, and why is that? They will give you a second layer of answer. And why do you think that is so? They will give you another one. By the time we're done with the 5 whys, I assure you, you will then understand exactly where that statement came from. It could be a security statement. It could be they love to walk, but what is in their mind as a priority is security, and they don't feel secure going for a walk. So it's not that they don't want to exercise, it's just that in the environment that they're in, they're feeling insecure. So your language is very important, and we just break it down. So if everything is working against you, things are working for you, question it so that it's a compelling reason. Now, if you have been following me, you would have heard me speak of the external and the internal locus of control. The external and the internal locus of control are just simply explained that if it's external, let's give the example of the pandemic right now. The pandemic happened to everybody. Somebody who has an external locus of control will blame the whole world and everybody for what is happening. Why isn't the government moving faster? Why aren't the scientists finding a solution? Why aren't the public means of transport, adhering to these COVID protocols? You're blaming everybody. Nowhere in those statements do you come in, because it's happening to you. You're a victim. If you have an internal locus of control, although the pandemic really had nothing to do with you, you already look for a way that you can manage the situation. Now that the pandemic is here, you become a creator. In fact, you begin to blame yourself for not having seen a crisis like this, not having foreseen a crisis like this, I beg your pardon. So you are blaming yourself and thinking, I should have thought this through and known that things cannot just go smoothly. What would happen to my business if this happened? What would happen to my family? So you start to blame self. In other words, you start to take ownership. I mean, it sounds very weird and confusing, but you're taking ownership of yourself so that you can own it and say, this is what I'm doing moving forward. That's internal and external locus of control. And this is what happens when we are telling our story. What language are we using? Now, if you took a minute right now and accessed a glimpse of 2021. Now, before that, let's just see if there are any comments here. Maria and Jerry, oh, great to see you. Welcome. You say that makes a lot of sense because it is always easier to take care of others. So if I can imagine, so I can easily take care of myself. Exactly. Take care of yourself. You're being kind to other people, but you're not being kind to yourself. You're judging yourself. You're comparing yourself to other people. You are telling yourself off. You're criticizing yourself. You're beating yourself down. You always need to start with yourself, because once you understand, then people can understand you. Once you accept you, then people can accept you. Once you love you, then people can love you. And once you help you, then you can help other people. We tend to be hard on ourselves. But anyway, if we look at 2021, like a recording of 5 minutes, just giving us a glimpse, the highlights of 2021, what words come out for you? What words are salient for you? Is it success? Is it favor? Is it glory? Is it sadness? Is it victory? Is it things like sabotage? Is it weakness? What words come for you? What do they come? What comes to mind? Because this is what is important. It's the language. Whichever way it goes, it speaks to you about your language. Take a moment and do that exercise. I've always found that it helps me, not only with looking at the year gone, but looking at last month, last week, looking at yesterday, looking at a project that I've just finished. It's me doing an audit and seeing what language comes up. I then take my learnings and I move on. So I encourage you to write your story and see what language is dominant. At times, this language that is coming through is not actually about people who are out to get you, that they are luckier than you. It's actually your own limiting beliefs. It is you telling yourself certain things over and over. And like I said, we can change this narrative. I want you to listen to those voices in your head. I want you to thank them because they have protected you up to this point where they were telling you, you cannot do this. Don't even start, you will fail. Tell that voice, thank you so much for bringing me this far. You have protected me from being a victim of perhaps a Ponzi program, of a con artist. You've protected me from having heartbreak. Thank you. But now I am stepping into a new space. I am transcending. Speak to that voice. Thank it. And then choose a new narrative. 21 days. Tune into what matters to you. Recently, I blogged on Quit Talking and Start Doing. And I spotlighted on how peers can influence our plans. Peers. Peers can influence our plans. I encourage you in this blog to tune into what matters to you first. Take care of yourself first. I like what Maria here said. Take care of yourself first. So for you to do that, you need to spend time determining what makes you most happy. Now, we don't spend time. That's the whole thing. We get prescribed happiness by other people. We see it on TV. We see it on the newspaper. We see it on social media. We see it with other family members. That is them, those people. That is that marketing company thinking about their perfect customer. What about you? Tune into what is important for you. So you have to determine it, guys. And once you determine it, add it to your priority list. I'm trying to see whether we've got any more comments. No, no more comments yet. I was hoping to get the yeses and the no's to the question of the day, which is, are you taking care of yourself above others? And only Nancy answered. I'm hoping that we could get more people answering. So we are adding onto the priority list that one thing or two things or three things that makes us happy. And therefore it's on our priority list because it's something that we want to nurture so that we can build on our happiness, allowing us to come from that place of abundance. Maybe your purpose is to help build others. Start with yourself before you help others. I could go on with a lot of examples because you need to rekindle a loving relationship with yourself. For you to be able to rekindle this loving relationship with yourself, you need to prioritize self. To do that, you need to set boundaries. In episode 2, in Loving Your Authentic Self, we looked at intentionally prioritizing relationships over things. It was important to know what you wanted from these relationships. So you are in the driver's seat. Yeah. Now, some of these relationships you already find yourself in, like family. You don't choose family. You're in family. It's what you've got, so it's what you're going to do about it with what you have here now. In others, we don't get to choose. We get to choose. So whether I want to be in a social group, whether I want to be in a physical group, whether I want to be in the chamas that we have, whether I want to have inspirational people around me, the choice is mine. Never let that choice be taken away from you. So whatever the case, we need to set boundaries, whether we end up in family where we cannot choose, or we end up in situations where we're making the choice. You just need to go back to episode 2 on my YouTube channel to get the tips on how to connect with others. So boundaries are internal and external. Internal boundaries, it's about what we're doing right now. It's about self-love. It's about understanding your shadow self. What is important to you? What is your capacity? What are you able to do? Taking responsibility, internal locus of control. You're not giving that responsibility to somebody else, because then you're stripping yourself of control over self. What is your contribution in every situation? Because you do have a contribution in every situation. It is either how you're reacting or how you're acting. So what is your reaction here in every situation? You own it. Don't pass it on to somebody else. So that's internal. On external, it's about communicating needs and expectations. Sounds easier said than done. When you're communicating needs and expectations, you need to be clear. Don't go changing lanes every time, because then you're confusing people. So speak your truth. Have time management. Learn to say no. When there's a breach in an agreement, or somebody's not meeting your expectations, speak that truth. Don't allow people to treat you in a way that you're not ready to receive. Toxic relationships, walk away from them. You only have this one life. So boundaries are internal and external, and you've got the little tips that I've given you here. These boundaries, they help our non-negotiables. Whether you're aware of it or not, you do have a non-negotiable. There are certain things that you expect in a scenario, basic things that you expect in a scenario. If you don't know them, if they're not coming to mind, take a moment and just think in your next interaction, what was my non-negotiable? And then you start to apply it. And you apply it, and this is in your pursuit of happiness and fulfillment. This non-negotiable, that thing that, whatever happens, it has to be there. Choose it for yourself. We have to prioritize what we want and what fills our cup, so that we can come from a place of abundance. Let us see. Welcome, Kavi. Good to see you here. So when we think about our non-negotiables, we are thinking of ourselves. It is not selfish for you to be able to prioritize yourself. In fact, it is very healthy, because this way you are telling yourself and the external world what you would like to see, how you would like to operate. You have nobody to blame if people are walking all over you, because you allowed them to. I'm sure you have heard in certain situations somebody saying, she doesn't like doing that. or he doesn't like when this happens, or they prefer to have it this way. How do we know that? Because they expressed their needs and expectations. They were true to them, they were honest, and they showed integrity to these needs and expectations, that if you moved out of it, they called you out and they reminded you that my needs and expectations are, I like my things in a certain way. I like to find my files in the place that I left them. I like to find my car with fuel once you borrow it and you return it. I like to find my food served in this way. You're very clear. And this can be replicated in every area of your life, whether spirituality, whether in your career, whether in work, whether in your fitness, whether in family, whether in matters love, whether in matters money. You need to know what your boundaries are, what your non-negotiables are. Loving it. So our main 3 takeaways today on our main topics were, number 1, leveraging on the satisfaction of basic physiological needs. Take care of that. Take care of the foundation, and everything else will begin to fall in place. Be intentional with what you tell yourself. This is about language. How do you speak to yourself? You'll only know this if you write your story. Write your story and look at your story as you read it back or read it to somebody. Listen to the language that you are using and see how you can tweak it and change your narrative. And if your language is very positive, then find a way to maintain it at that level and even grow it further and touch the next generation. The third one was set your internal and external boundaries. We've spoken enough of that on non-negotiables. Now, if you are able to apply these 3 takeaways, you will have tools to take care of and prioritize yourself above others. And we have come to the end. Always sad to go, but next episode is about number 1 self-fan. And before you join me on the next episode, I want you to imagine yourself at a game, a sports game that you love, and you are a fan of that team. I want you to imagine that you are at a concert and these musicians are performing and you are a fan of these musicians. Exactly how do you behave in that scenario? Think on that, and definitely we will be talking about it in our next episode. I hope that you will be engaged as you share with me the tips of how to be a number 1 self-fan, all in the name of loving self. In the meantime, remember to like our Facebook page to receive regular updates on these scheduled talks. View our website. We've got great stuff on our website that you don't want to miss out. You want to be able to go in there and read everything that we're talking about on our blogs, because every week we try to blog something. YouTube, go onto YouTube and see the recordings that are there. Great lessons, and share. But remember, subscribe, like, and hit the notification button. And we want to be able to build each other together. Until our next episode, be kind to yourselves. Bye-bye now.